Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Happy to see you all. The May 25th, 2017 special board meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education is called to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with Section 3313.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. Mr. Wilson, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Briner?
Here.
Ms. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Tuttle?
Here.
Ms. Jisling?
Present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to the May 25th, 2017 special meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education. Prior to this evening, each board member has received for their review and consideration the agenda and materials associated with each agenda item for the board's approval. Board members have the opportunity to call the superintendent and chief financial officer for information concerning agenda items and to request, if needed, additional information. There is one place on the agenda when the board entertains comments from the community. The hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on agenda items only. When addressing the board, please state your name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please address questions to the president. This meeting is being televised on a delayed basis and will be shown on Spectrum Cable Channel 9696 in Mentor and Channel 9622 in Mentor on the Lake. This meeting is also being videotaped and will be shown on your YouTube channel, Cardinal TV Mentor Ohio. And please place your mobile telephones on silent mode during the meeting. Mr. Miller was unable to join us this evening. This board meeting was scheduled after he had already accepted a previous invitation, so unfortunately he cannot be with us this evening. We'll begin with a hearing of the public on agenda items. And just to review, if you wish to address the board, please state your name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and please address questions to the president. And the podium is up here near the flag.
Can I tilt this a little bit this way?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Honorable board members, my name is Lexi Neely. Many of you may recognize me as I have addressed the school board many times in the past. None of those times, however, have ever been as important as this one is tonight. It has come to the community's attention that the man you have selected to be our next superintendent is being strongly protested not only in his own district, but in ours as well. I want to take a moment tonight to address the concerns of the Mentor High student body. Board members, I am not an individual who is quick to make snap judgments. I do not trust first impressions or single poor reviews. The man you have selected to be our next leader does not, however, have a single poor review. He has over 2,000 members of the community from which he is coming, out of 5,000 total, petitioning his former district to vote no on renewing his contract. It is easy to call this a witch hunt. It is easy to dismiss a man's past and judge him based solely on the prospects of his future. But board members, 2,000 people are not a single poor review. It is an entire community who has had enough. How does it reflect on this district that we would choose an individual with so much controversy surrounding him in such a crucial time in educational development across the country? Matt Miller was universally beloved, not only in our district, but in the district he came from. He was a man who was at every sporting event, every academic competition, every fundraiser. He did not dismiss his community on any matters. Instead, he listened to every voice, from his kindergartners to the senior citizens of the community. He not only listened, but believed, trusted, and kept their suggestions at the forefront of his mind. I only ask that you do the same when considering his replacement, and listen to the fact that your community is concerned. Concerned by the idea that based on reviews of this man's record, he may not share that willingness to listen to the community. Community members were given no choice in who would be dictating the actions of their community for the next several years. Students, myself included, We're asked for their input, but based on the candidate you have chosen, it does not seem that our input was listened to. It is easy to run a school like a business, to hire from the top with no regard for what the day-to-day worker or student might think. This school, however, is not a business, it is a community, a home away from home for so many, including myself, even though I'm graduating on Saturday. This community deserves a say in who will be its head of household. You might think that this is not my fight. After all, I am a graduating senior. But thanks to the innovative, nationally recognized school district that Matt Miller and his team have created, I'll be off to Harvard University this fall. I want the district that gave me so many opportunities to be led by someone who will guarantee those opportunities after I'm gone. I want a district that provides opportunities to my friends still in high school to achieve their dreams like I did. I want a district that provides opportunities to my little sister. She'll be in 8th grade next year, and she has very unique, beautiful special needs. I want to leave this district knowing that I did everything I could to preserve it. But if you vote yes tonight, I cannot say that I did that. Board members, I have not met this man. I will not stand here and say that he is absolutely not the right choice for this district. But you have not asked the community if he absolutely is. Do we not deserve that certainty? Menor is a unique community. We come together, and we should have been brought together for this decision. I'm asking you to vote no tonight, to gather more information, to gather more input, before making a final decision. If after we have weighed in, you decide that this man is still enough, we will stand behind you wholeheartedly when you vote yes. But today is not that day, and tonight is not that night. I ask for the sake of the community, your students, and the Menor School's legacy that you let us speak our minds before you determine our fates. Thank you.
Yes, that was.
Thank you, Lexi.
Want me to give a 1 minute I sign?
Well, how do you follow that up? Oh my gosh. Madam President, my name is Kelly Balin, Board. I am the Fairfax PTA President for the past 2 years, and prior to that, I was Lake County Council President for 3 years. I'll keep it short and sweet. We all know what is online about this gentleman, and we all know that Mr. Miller's shoes are going to be incredibly hard to follow. But I see a lot of my fellow presidents in this audience tonight, and I see my teachers, I see my parents, and I can tell you that as a parent here, I am so proud of the segment that I represent. I'm proud of the board, I'm proud of Mr. Miller, I'm proud of our students most importantly. And I truly in my heart, as a card myself, do not feel that this man represents the upward trend that our community has gone into. I just really hope you guys reconsider, and when you vote tonight, you make the decision that represents our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Obviously, I'm Gwen Corbin. I've been on your shoes before. I have a concern, my only concern, I have a number of concerns. I understand that we had done a process, there was a whole due process to choose this person. In town hall meetings, I'm not sure if the participants who did the town hall meetings were able to vote, you know, like if you had the input on that. The other thing too is, as your levy chairperson for the last couple of levies, I have a true concern about community support for whoever we put into Mr. Miller's shoes, because the community is the one who has voted confidence in our board after us going through such a financial mistrust, and I certainly do not want to go down that road again. I have a real concern about that, especially from some of the information that is out there about this gentleman. I do not know if I don't think he's going to be here tonight. Does that show that he doesn't have an interest, or if he had another engagement? I wanted to know what is his interest in special needs for our students in our district. And also, what about my other issues always are on alcohol and drug issues for our students and also our LGBTQ community. You know, what are we going to do for all our students, not just the ones that do well? I do want to say I love the fact that we have someone going to Harvard and she is so well spoken. Yeah. She is an example of what we want to continue to grow in our community, not only for myself, my grandchildren, but I'm sure for everyone here present tonight. Once again, you know what? You don't always have to make the decision right away. Please take your time, make the best decision, and make sure that you have all of our interests in your thoughts. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Wilson, I'm Cindy Langolier. I am the MTA president. I spoke to you last night. I want to reiterate my concerns about the process. I think part of this showing here indicates that there's a lot of concerns about the process. I urge you, again, as a resident, a teacher, and a voter, to vote no and start over. Reopen your search, cast a much wider net, and don't give up until you find someone that the community can truly support. And I think that's it. Please vote no. Thank you.
Was there anyone else who wanted to make comment?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Wilson. I too share all the concerns. I'm Linda Clements. I'm a 40-year retired guidance counselor, teacher with Mentor Schools. Gave my love and devotion, as you all have, and I'm so very concerned about the direction that we're going. Please reconsider. Please take the time to reopen. Please think about the community and everyone. To bring someone in with controversy really concerns me, as it does as I see so many people here. So please, when we have people from another district who are, saying that they were urging a recall of a superintendent of not renewing their contract, I think that's something we really have to pay attention to, and for us to move forward in our, keeping our love of this district, the admiration that everyone has, not just us, but the communities surrounding us, the state, and now even in the nation. So please, for that reason, please give us another chance. Thank you.
Did anyone else wish to speak?
Madam President, board members, my name is Michelle Pugh. I've been involved with the school district for a long time. My oldest has just gone on to college, but I still have 2 children in the school. I'm PTSA president, vice president. I've been on the boards of all of the elementary, middle school. I'm a science Olympiad advisor, over at the schools all the time. And I just want to reiterate what everybody else had to say. And I would really urge you to vote no tonight, reconsider some options that we might have, and honestly get the community more involved. I feel that we weren't given any time to research the 2 candidates We did not get an Infinite Campus that came out that told us who these two candidates were. An Infinite Campus goes out for everything else, so why not let us know who these two candidates are so that we have some time to research and do our due diligence as well. I just, again, want to reiterate everything that Lexi said and everybody else, and we would really appreciate a no vote and maybe have us a little bit more involved in the end. Thank you.
Did anyone else wish to speak this evening?
Well, you can form a line if you want. It'd be more efficient if you form a line.
Madam President, my name is Christina Malinowski. I'm a teacher with the Mentor Schools. I have taught for over 20 years here. My concern tonight with the candidate that you have brought forth is alarming. I hope that you would reconsider. I have worked with Matt Miller and his team. We have moved forward in so many ways, innovative ways in technology and in teaching strategies. And I hope to, continue that and improve and move that forward. I would hope that you would vote no and cast a wider net, just like a lot have said tonight, that we would have a good candidate that would push us forward in an innovative way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam President and Board of Education, it's hard to follow Lexi as a student of mine. I'm very proud that she could stand up here and speak. And I speak as a community member and father of 4 in the district. And it's very unsettling to sit here and see relationships being crushed here, I guess. We spent a long time as union vice president developing relationships with the board, developing relationship with administration. Worked very hard to get to this point. I think we're in a wonderful place. I feel like teachers in this district sell everything we do in this district to community. Everywhere I go, baseball games, anywhere I go, talk to community members, that I'm always talking about the wonderful things we do in this district, and I feel like I have to sell all the time all the great things we're doing to keep things positive, because all the negative things in the news from other districts, and we always talk about mentor pride in this district. And this process, and I'm more here to talk about the process, because I don't know who the candidate is, never met him, could walk in the door right now and don't even know him. And that's the problem, is that it seems fishy that we were announced the 2 candidates yesterday at 5 o'clock, and 4 hours later the decision was made with no input at all. And we talk about building relationships. This is now, I feel, going to split this community up. And if this is a negative situation, how could we possibly take a step backwards at this point? We've asked for levies. Our community stepped up in terms of levies. You've asked for the community to step up and do a wonderful presentation for League of Innovating Schools and show all the awesome things that we do in this district. And these teachers in this community have stepped up in every situation that you've asked them. But when it comes to an important decision like this, you leave the community out of it, and that's just wrong. And as a father of 4 in this district and as a 20-year teacher in this district, it just doesn't seem right. And again, I'm not here to speak against Canada because I don't even know him, and I don't think most people in this room know him. And I don't like the way the whole process was done, and it feels like it's backdoor politics at its best. And we've developed great relationships, as I've said, with the teachers, administrations. Matt and I and Kathy and Margaret and all of the administration have worked together so hard to get where we are right now. I feel this would be a huge step backwards, and I don't think that we want to be sitting here explaining ourselves to the community members in this district as to why we made these decisions without their input. You have to include this community. This is a very pride community in the school district, and we talk about mentor pride all the time, and I feel right now that we're taking a step backwards, and I'm not sure we have pride right now in what's going on.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who wished to speak?
Madam President, board members. My name is Trevor Pugh. I am an alum of the class of 2016. So I just finished my first year down at American University in DC. I just want to say that given my time in DC, I've learned a few things, and something that is really evident, not just in DC, but everyone really knows, is that right now we're having a problem with our representatives not listening to their constituents' voices. And so if you look here, I've been to board meetings before. I've never seen a turnout like this. So you have to realize that there is a concern with the nominee that is up right now. And I may not be at Mentor High anymore, but I still have a brother there. I have a sister who is going into the high school next year. I've worked very closely with Mr. Miller the past couple years. I was student body president last year. And to follow in his footsteps is going to be very hard for any superintendent that you choose. But based on what has been said and what research has shown, it's very concerning. And I speak for a lot of people here with the time concern, as was stated before. Not having even a 24-hour notice of who the superintendent you have chosen to allow community members to look into him and to decide. It is up to Mentor as a community to decide on our superintendent, not just a few elected officials. You have to listen to our voices, and a yes vote tonight on the appointee is not conducive to the democratic process. It is an injustice to our voices that are stating obviously no, and that there is more time that is needed to choose a superintendent that will push Mentor forward and continue Mr. Miller's legacy. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wished to speak this evening? Thank you so much for your thoughts. At this point, Mr. Wilson, your financial officer's report and recommendations.
Thank you. We've presented to you for recommended adoption the May update to the 5-year fiscal projections. As the board will recall, the Ohio Revised Code requires that a 5-year fiscal projections be prepared no later than October 31st of each year and updated no later than May 31st of each year. Consistent with past practice, we have focused on the current fiscal year, 10 months of actual activity and the estimated activity for May and June to update the forecast. Overall, we are estimating revenue will be higher than budgeted, primarily the result of delinquent tax collections, additional tax increment financing revenue, and a settlement of the 2013-14 Medicaid settlement of $438,000. As a result, we believe that revenues, when we get to fiscal year end, will exceed the budgeted amount and the forecasted amount, and will be at a 97.3% accuracy rate in the amount of $4,429,351. On the expense side, we adjusted at the urging of the board and the Finance Committee many of our expense assumptions. We are now forecasting that the expenses overall will be approximately 98% of the budgeted amount, 98.2% of the budget amount, an increase over past performance. The biggest variance in savings was the result of a 0% increase in the health care benefits in January of this year, resulting in an underspending of the benefits category by $1,247,000. There's one other extra activity, and that's in other expenses. where a refund due to an Ohio Department of Education billing error on tuition for our CARES program. We're refunding $530,000 of that money. Again, overall performance was at 98.2%. Our increased cash balance is $6,240,000 compared to the September budget.
Mr. Wilson, could you explain a little bit more about the CARES billing, just for clarification for the community?
Sure. When we set up the CARES program a few years ago, the Ohio Department of Education indicated that billing for out-of-district students was the responsibility of the school district, and we issue invoices to districts for tuition and reimbursement for classroom assistance expenses. For reasons we still don't understand this year, the Ohio Department of Education acted as a billing agent, as they do for normal placement of out-of-district students, and billed the districts, deducted it from their subsidy, and forwarded the money to our district, resulting in essentially double payment to the school districts. We've worked with the Ohio Department of Education to revalidate that we are the billing agent and that they should not have done that. So this is a one-year self-correction.
Thank you.
The Citizens Financial Advisory Committee met yesterday and reviewed the forecast and has recommended approval, and asked that I make one notation, and that is one of our key financial indicators are to track deficit spending, which we define as current income compared to current expenses. The projected performance this year will be a positive performance. Next year, essentially a break-even performance, and then beginning in 2018-19, deficit spending of $4.5 million, which increases to $9.9 million in 1920 and $13.9 million in 2021. So that, again, because of the way K-12 education is funded in Ohio, we always have revenue challenges that require very prudent spending and a strong fiscal oversight that the board's always provided. With that, again, the committee recommended, and I am recommending tonight, that you approve the May update so that we may file it with the Ohio Department of Education.
Thank you. Anybody have questions regarding the?
Yeah, just one question, Dan. The Medicaid payment, is that a one-time payment? We shouldn't expect that every year.
Well, this is for 2013, 2014. There will be a settlement for 14, 15, 15, 16.
Okay.
It's a federal reimbursement for students that qualify for Medicare coverage, or their family does, and we do current billings through the Ohio Department of Medicaid, who then submits it to the federal government for reimbursement. They provide partial immediate reimbursement, but there's this lag based on availability of federal funding. So I believe we will continue for at least 3 years seeing a delayed payment. Last year, the settlement of the 2012-2013 year was a similar amount of money, over $400,000.
And you said probably for the next two?
Yes, at least
3
2
years.
more years, probably
Thank you.
3 more years.
Anyone else have questions? Motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wilson, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes. At this time, we are going to adjourn to executive session to consider the employment of a public official. We expect to return to the board table when we've completed that executive session.
So moved.
Second.
And Mr. Wilson, will you call the roll?
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes. We are adjourned to executive session. Everyone, the business before the board is the following. The appointment of Vincent S. Kolaluka as superintendent, approval of the employment contract as previously discussed for the period beginning August 1st, 2017 through July 31st of 2020, and employment of Vincent S. Kolaluka as a consultant prior to August 1st, 2017, at an employment contract per diem rate. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? And we're ready, do we vote and then discuss?
We have a second.
Yes, Sally.
Oh,
Sally. Is there any discussion on the matter?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. You can put your signs down because we know how you feel. I don't want your arms getting tired. Obviously, you're very passionate about the district as we are. And while we'd like to see groups of this size come to all the meetings to see what we do, we certainly appreciate you coming out this evening. This obviously has been one of the most difficult decisions that this board has faced. I'm a little concerned over the talk about the process. The state of Ohio has laws that govern what a school board does and doesn't do. And we have two main responsibilities. One is to hire the chief financial officer or treasurer. The other is to hire the school superintendent. Other than that, we really don't do a whole lot. We vote on a lot of things, donations and field trips and those types of things, but those are our two main purposes of this group. I can tell you I've been on the board for 13 years. Been through a lot of some very difficult decisions, closing buildings and downsizing and right-sizing and all those types of things. And I can tell you that this group that sits before you this evening has worked extremely diligently and not without an enormous amount of discussion and discourse, but it was very civil. But we have done, I think, a very good job in those 13 years in building trust in the community. When we were charged with replacing Dr. Hoynes as our superintendent, we didn't get a big crowd like this, but we did have some folks who were concerned with Mr. Miller, that he came from a district that was too small, that he didn't have maybe the experience, that the district was going to be overwhelmed. And it was a difficult decision because we had some very good candidates. And we went ahead and made the decision, and I think it turned out to be very successful for us. But not only for us, more importantly, it was successful for the kids in this community. Because that's the main focus of what we need to be basing our decisions on, is the children and their education. So we're faced with the same situation. We have a candidate who is being proposed, who there is some concern in the community. This process has taken months. We didn't just start this a few weeks ago. We've done an awful lot of background work, and I will be quite honest, when we got Mr. Kolaluka's name, we were told very upfront that there were problems in the Austintown School District. So what did we do about it? Well, obviously we did Google searches and that type of thing. It's pretty easy to do. We did the same thing you did, read the same articles, got a lot of the same information. But we took it a step further. We called references. Actually, one of the board members went on a site visit, which is actually going to the Austintown School District to talk to people and to find out what really was the crux of a lot of the controversy. The controversy that Mr. Kolaluka faces was based on a decision that was not his. All has to do with open enrollment. We don't do that in Mentor. We're not going to do that in Mentor. So where we are now is coming to a point of a decision. And in my estimation, we need to look at some of the negative information, not some, the negative information that's out there, find out what the generation or what the origin of that negative information is, and we've done that. But we also need to look at the successes that he has had in his district. And he has had successes. He has taken that district from academic watch to excellent with distinction in a very short time. He has instituted one-for-one technology without a $12 million straight A grant. He has won awards from his peers. So let's have some balance, I guess, is what I'm asking. Let's not all just look at the negative and say what a terrible thing this is. Let's look at the balance. And we have. That's all I have.
Are we ready to vote?
I think I would just like to say that we appreciate your input. I got a lot of calls today. I tried to tell the good things. He's done a lot of really good things that you don't read about on Facebook. And at this point, if he's elected, I would ask for your cooperation to help us maintain one of the best school districts in the state, because that's what we are all looking to do.
Ready to vote?
Mr. Tuttle?
Anything further to say?
No.
Okay. Mrs. Briner? Okay, thank you. Are we ready to vote?
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
No.
Mr. Tuttle?
No.
Ms. Jisling?
No. A little order, please. Going forward. it
Let me
will-
speak before you start.
Okay,
I didn't speak
No,
before
the
my
vote's
vote.
over. You're out of
If I
order,
may.
Mr. Tuttle.
I'm sorry, I'm out of order.
all right. So at this point, thank you for your input and your joining us in our interest in preserving all that is good in our community. We intend to continue our responsibility to search for a superintendent to lead us. And I believe we are.
Move to
Move
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Wilson, will you call the roll? Oh, sorry.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Ms. Miller? Mr. Shaw? Mr. Tuttle? Ms. Jisling?
We are adjourned.